Reacting to the Premier League Matchday 1 results. Keep in mind, I only watched about one or two highlights of the games, so I'm only commenting sort of from a reaction standpoint and not really having observed the individual game scenarios and how the game unfolded. Arsenal 3, Coventry 0, I think are pretty straightforward, doesn't require a lot of explanation. Look, Arsenal going into the season were hands down the clear and sole favourites to win this, to retain the title. They have the best squad, they have the most complete squad, and you're looking for player, they're stacked all around and just got even better acquiring Ezri Konsa for 50 million from Aston Villa. Coventry, yes, they've made some acquisitions, but I think fundamentally they're going to struggle for the most part of the season. It's going to come down to the final 10 to 12 games. So, yeah, 3-0 was expected, could have been more. Now, Man United, 0, Hull 2. Huge surprise of the match week, to be honest. I didn't expect Man United to start this badly. Granted, I was kind of going off the basis that Man United would resume where they left off last season, which was immaculate form. I think, what was it? They had the best, the best finish to the last, 10 to 12 games under Michael Carrick, and would have won the Premier League if it wouldn't have been for the first half of the season. But they lost to Hull, and I think that's because a lot of teams go into this Premier League campaign underestimating their opposition, especially weak opposition, especially opposition that has just been promoted. And Hull looked to be the better side, and quite frankly, you look at this Man United team and think, okay, they're still pretty much the same. Have they addressed their defensive issues, especially left back? Yes, they have some decent cover centre backs wise. Now they've gotten even better, the centre midfielders. But with that being said, I can still see Manchester United doing well, but not top 4. So let's see how it goes. Ipswich Town 2, Sunderland 1. Now, Sunderland have always been, or now more so, interesting commodity just because now they've qualified for Europe, got the extra pressure. Apart from adding, what was it? Right back, it wasn't Thomas Meunier, it was someone else. But it's not like they've really had any reason to give you the belief that they've improved. Oh, it was Thomas Meunier that they've added. So let's see. Let's seriously see. Granit Xhaka was rumoured to leave. He was on the verge of leaving. I don't know what to make of this, to be honest. I don't know. This is without a doubt an unfinished project. But I think they're going to struggle this season just because of the added pressure and the failing to make adequate signings. Ipswich Town, second team this game week to make an impact. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for Gary O'Neill. I hope Ipswich Town, out of all three teams, are the teams that that stay up, but more to follow. Everton 2, Palace 0. I think Palace are also one of the teams that will struggle. They might find themselves to be in a precarious situation the further the season goes on. They've lost Guéhi, lost Lacroix, lost obviously, Eberechi Eze and Michael Olise, and perhaps are going to lose Jean-Philippe Mateta as well at some point. This looks very much like a kind of, they still have their back five, which is similar with Munoz, Mitchell, Riyad Richards, and Wharton Kamada. In principle, Dean Henderson's still there as well, but you just wonder for how long, and if this team is really gonna be able to replicate what they did last season, in the sense that, okay, even if the Premier League's not going so well, will they get international football, and will they be able to right the ship there? So many question marks, but I can see Crystal Palace being a team that really, really struggles. Everton, surprise for me. I think they're also one of the weaker teams. If you look at their lineup, they don't, aside from Jordan Pickford and perhaps Iliman Ndiaye, who's sort of their standout player where you think, okay, this guy can help us go places. This guy can really help us, reach top 12. Difficult to see. David Moore is kind of an average manager. Yes, he has some good spells, but kind of nearing the end of his tenure. Nottingham Forest Leeds. Very happy with Leeds, also with the back-to-back wins against Nottingham Forest in Nottingham. Shows resilience, shows that Leeds have started on the right foot, which they didn't do last season, and then they had to kind of claw themselves back throughout the season. And that's a huge point. You go into this season 3 points under your belt. Last season, you only had 2 away wins. Now you already have the first one in the first game, plus a League Cup win in Nottingham. So you can exhale kind of and understand, okay, this is a team, this is a chemistry that's being built. And Daniel Farke at the helm, and who would I want more in this situation? Probably no one. So a lot of positives, a lot of things Leeds can take from this. Nottingham Forest will be fine. Even with the loss of Elliot Anderson, they have a fantastic coach in Oliver Glasner. Have gone for reinforcements and will need some time, especially with Morgan Gibbs White now. They just signed Liam Delap, Dan Ndoye, Neco Williams, James McAteer. There's a lot of potential on this side, and I actually believe Nottingham Forest will be finishing the top 12, top 13. Brentford 3, Spurs 0. Now that was another shocker. Not so much that Brentford won, but just the amount. It could have been 4 if Igor Thiago had not missed a penalty. So you look at this result and think to yourself, okay, money alone won't fix Spurs' issues. There has to be kind of an identity. And in my opinion, Spurs' team is still terrible. I mean, you look at their offense. Richarlison, Matthias Tell, and Mikey Moore. Like, that's not a front three that will fill a lot of fans, put a lot of smile on their faces. Yes, they may have a astute sort of back three, back four, and covered by a strong and stellar midfield with Tonali, Bergvall, Senesi, Van Hecke, Robertson. But oh my days, there's a lot of changes to be made, and yes, there's still some injuries to, was it Kudus? They just signed Savinho. They're gonna be getting the other guy from Manchester City, whose name I'm blanking on, Omar Mamouche. A lot of change to come, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham actually finish 10th. Even though a lot of pundits and people have them higher. So we'll see. Not so much a surprise to me. Gutted about Bournemouth 1, Man City 2. I was really hoping for my seaside town. They've kind of grown on me to make an impact, an early impact, especially with Marco Rosa, because I like the German influence. But wasn't to be. Man United 2, late goals dramatically snatched the win away. Bournemouth, yeah, kind of underwhelming apart from a few chances here and there. A lot of counter-attacking football. I think Bournemouth will also grow into the season. I think that's very much a phenomenon with new coaches. They need time. I wouldn't be surprised if this project takes 8-9 weeks to really hit the ground running. I think that you look at Bournemouth squad, unfortunate blow to Eli Krupi Jr., but nonetheless they should be okay. I would have wished for one more attacker, an additional attacking signing, but they seem to have deemed it enough with Kluivert, Ryan, Tavernier, Evan Nielsen. And then who came off the bench? Alvaro Rodriguez wasn't even used. So let's see. I think as for Manchester City, good start. Would have been kind of a bad start to the season if they had lost or drawn in any capacity. It was at home. First game under the new manager, Enzo Maresca. And this is a brand new Man City team, not so much for the players, but for how they're going to play and how they're going to go forward. And you think, you look at Man City's squad and think, can they compete with Arsenal? Difficult, but possible. I think they need to make one or two more signings. They just signed the Moroccan central midfielder, just lost Mamouche and lost Savinho, who was already not on the bench. So let's see where this goes. I think they can believe that they'll be okay in terms of top 4. Anything more? Who knows? I think that's a project waiting to happen. Brighton 4, Aston Villa 2-0. I think Aston Villa, similarly to Bournemouth, are a team that kind of grow into the season. They also started off terribly last year, and Brighton, another astounding win, compiling a lot of pressure onto Unai Emery. Decisions he's going to make. Will Ollie Watkins leave? Yes or no? This is perhaps the worst team Aston Villa have fielded ever to the start of the Premier League campaign in the last 5 years. No doubt there will be further reinforcements from their side. And then you look at, perhaps Brighton's team and you think to yourself, okay, Vuskovic, a great player. You have Maxime Lecoype, who's actually a left back playing left wing. And, a lot of potential on this Brighton side. And there's a lot of undiscovered talent. They signed, I'm trying to think, they signed some guy from Hoffenheim. So I think that was Newcastle, but there's a lot of potential on this Brighton side. I think with Fabian Hutzler, you're in for an absolute joyride. Newcastle 2, Liverpool 2. Don't know what to make of it. A kind of mixed bag, both sides. I mean, it could go horribly wrong for both teams. It could go really, really well. Liverpool, obviously the better team, had more shots, had more possession. But, Newcastle gave away a late penalty and Matthias Jaisler deemed it soft. Fair enough to him. I think I can agree. I think this game has become inherently soft and is all around, kind of the contact. If there's contact, there's clear no sign of mitigation, etc., etc. So you look at Liverpool's team and think to yourself, okay, not a bad team, but can it compete with the top ones? Probably not. Still waiting on Yakuba Mente, still waiting on Barcola. Will there be any development there? Question mark. Iraola, you expect him to also grow into into the season. As for Matthias Jaisler, I think I've said this before. He's a great communicator. He can get what he wants on the pitch, and I think he's a decent debut for Bamba, for Dedic, for Stur as well. And I'm trying to think. Nick Pope? No. So Nick Pope seems to have been discarded. So we'll see what happens. I think both teams can finish top 10. We'll see if they will. Chelsea 3, Fulham 2. I think Chelsea, next to Arsenal and Man City, look to be the real threat, real contenders for the top 4, perhaps even 3 or 2. Kind of subject to how the season pans out. They have by far the widest squad in terms of players. It's going to be interesting to see how you keep all of them content. Jordan Henderson wasn't even on the bench, was he? No. But there's so much. They have Valentin Barco, who hasn't really been discovered. Jamie Bino-Gittens, who's still waiting kind of for his arrival in the Premier League. Estavo on the bench. Pep Chavaria, a lot of potential. Enzo Fernandez, who played. Pedro Neto. I mean, and then Morgan Rogers, Pedro, and Palmer. That's probably the best front three probably the best front three of the Premier League, quite frankly. A great strike who can also play the 10. You've got Morgan Rogers in form. Left winger, right winger, versatile, and Cole Palmer, the creative kind of piece to this puzzle, and followed by a stellar back line and amazing creative central midfielder. So there's a lot of potential on this side, and I'm extremely confident in Xabi Alonso, and he can work his magic with this team.